Welcome to the channel of Doshi Classes. In this video, we are going to study the lesson The Necklace, written by the French writer Guy de Maupassant. Guy de Maupassant was known for his short stories. He wrote some nearly 300 short stories, 6 novels, 3 travel books and 1 volume of verse. Verse is a type of poetry which often rhymes at the end. His story mostly describes a middle class life. Most of his stories have an ironic end, that is, a twisted ending. This type of writing is the hallmark of Maupassant's style. The story was first published on 17 February 1884 in the French newspaper. The story was filmed and telecasted on television several times. Before going into the lesson, let's see the short summary of it. The Necklace is a short story about a beautiful lady, Mathilde Loisel. She was a middle class woman who longs for a wealthy lifestyle. To wear to a party, Mathilde borrowed a diamond necklace from a wealthy friend. After the party, Mathilde realized that the necklace had gone. Unable to find it, they borrowed a great deal of money to buy another necklace for replacement. Mathilde and her husband spent the next 10 years paying off their debt. As a result of their hard work, Mathilde aged prematurely. Mathilde finally tells Madame Forestier about the replacement of the necklace. What did Madame Forestier reply? Did Mathilde learn a lesson of all this? Well, to get these answers, please like the video and hit the subscribe button and watch the video till the end. Mathilde was pretty and a charming girl, born as if by an error of fate into the family of clerks. She had no means to becoming known, understood or loved or to be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself marry to a minor officer at the Ministry of Education. The opening lines of the story explain that Mathilde grew up in a lower class home without much prospects. She blamed her fate for her birth in the poor family, and not being much known, she had less chance to get married to an aristocrat. She never expected much because she never had much. And she understood that her marriage prospects were limited. Because of that, she marries to a man who works for the government as a minor officer, which is perfectly suited to someone of her social status. She dresses plainly because she never had been able to afford anything better. She suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled for all luxuries of the life. She suffered because of a shabby, poorly furnished house. All these things the other women of her class would not have noticed, tormented her and made her resentful. Friend, Mathilde's problem was that despite of being aware of the reality of a low social position, she felt that she was born to something greater. That is the reason she was tormented and she suffered mentally and made her resentful, that is, feeling very low. She dreamt of a grand palatial mansion, means a huge, spacious castle-like house with vast rooms inviting into the smaller rooms, perfumed for the afternoon chat with a close friend. Yet, she had no rich dresses, no jewels, nothing, and these were the only things she loved. She wanted so much to charm, to be envied, to be sought after. She had a rich friend, a formal schoolmate at the convent, whom she avoided visiting because afterwards she would weep with regret, despair, and mystery. She would weep because she was sad and disappointed and unhappy, maybe because she was jealous of her friend. One evening, her husband came with an air of triumph, holding a large envelope in his hand. "Look," he said, "here is something for you." She torn open the paper and drew out a card on which it was printed the words, "The Ministry of Education and Madame George Ramponneau requests the pleasure of Mr. and Madame Loisel's company at the ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. Friends, in French, M stand for Mr. and MME is for Madam. Let's continue. Instead of being delighted at the husband and hoped, she threw the invitation on the table resentfully, that is angrily, and muttered, "What do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go?" He hadn't thought of that. He stammered, "Why, the dress you go to the theatre in. It seems very nice for me." He stopped, stunned, that is shocked and unable to react. The distress to see his wife crying. He sluttered, that is, he said the things with a great difficulty and taking a pause. "What's the matter?" "Let's see, Mathilde, how much it would a suitable dress cost?" She thought for a moment, computing the cost and also wondering what amount she would ask without an immediate refusal. At last, she answered hesitantly, "I don't exactly know, but I think it could be for 400 francs. He turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun for hunting summer in the country near Nathieu with a few friends. However, he said, "Very well, I can give you 400 francs, but try to get a really beautiful dress." The day the party drew near, Madame Loyal seemed sad, resentful, anxious, though her dress was ready. One evening, her husband said to her, "What's the matter? You've been acting strange this last 3 days." She replied, "I'm upset that I have no jewels, not even a single stone to wear. I would rather not go to the party." "You could wear flowers," he said. "They are very fashionable at this time of year." She was not convinced. The next day, she went to her friend's house and told her of her distress. Madame Forestier went to her mirrored wardrobe and took out a large box, brought it and opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, "Choose, my dear." First, Madame saw some bracelets and then the pearl necklace. She tried on the jewelry in the mirror. She kept on asking, "You have nothing else?" "Why, yes, but I don't know what you like." Suddenly, she discovered a black satin box, a superb diamond necklace, and her heart began to beat with an uncontrolled desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fastened it round her neck and stood it in an ecstasy, that is, very happily, and she looked at herself. Then she asked anxiously, hesitating, "Would you lend me this? Just this?" "Why, yes, of course." She threw the arms around the friend's necklace happily, and then she fled. That is, she went away with the treasure. The day the party arrived, Madame Loisel was a success. She was prettier than all other women, elegant, joyous, smiling, full of joy. She danced wildly with passion, forgetting everything in the trump of her beauty and success, floating in the cloud of happiness. Mathilde and her husband left at morning 4 o'clock in the morning. When they were finally on the street, they could not find a cab. Then they walked down towards the Seine. Seine is a river in France. Till they found one, that is, they found a cab. They were dropped to the door of Rue de Martyr, that is the name of a street in Paris, and sadly, it was all over for her. In the front of the mirror, she took a final look at herself and all her glory. But suddenly she uttered a cry. She no longer had the necklace round her neck. "What's the matter?" asked the husband. She turned towards him, panic stricken. I I no longer have Madame Foster's necklace. He stood up, distraught. That is very worried. What? How? That's impossible. And here is the end of part 1. They looked into the folds of a dress, the folds of a cloak. Cloak is an outer garment, in the pockets, everywhere, but they could not find it. "Are you sure you still had it when you left the hall?" he asked. "Yes, I touched it in the hall at the ministry. But if you have lost it on the street, we would have heard it fall." "It must be in the cab." "Yes, that's probably. But did you take his number?" "No." They stared at each other, stunned. At last, Loisel put his clothes on. "I'm going back," he said, "over the whole route we walked and see if I can find it." He left. She remained in her ball dress all night. Her mind was blank. Her husband returned about 7 o'clock. He found nothing. He went to the police, to the newspaper officer for a reward, to the cab companies. Everywhere the thinnest glimmer of hope led him. She waited all day in despair of this frightful disaster. Loisel returned in the evening, the hollow, pale face, and he found nothing. "You must write to your friend," he said. "Tell her you have broken the clasp of her necklace and that it has to be mended. It will give us some time to look some more." She wrote as he dictated. It was end of a week and they have lost all hopes. And Loisel, who suddenly looked aged, declared, "We must consider how to replace the jewel." And so they went from a jeweler to jeweler looking for the necklace like the other one, consulting their memories, both sick and grief and anguished. In a shop at Paris Royal, they found a string of diamonds which seemed to be exactly what they were looking for, and it was worth 40,000 francs. They could have got it for 36,000. So they begged the jeweler not to sell it for 3 days. And they made an arrangement that he would take it back for 34,000 francs if the other necklace was found before the end of February. Loisel had 18,000 francs which his father has left for him. He could have borrowed the rest, and he did borrow. He gave notes, made ruinous agreement, dealt with every type of moneylender. Then he went to get the new necklace and laid down on the jeweller's counter 36,000 francs. When Madame Loisel took the necklace back, Madame Foster said coldly, "You should have returned it sooner. I might have needed it." From then on, Madame Loisel knew the horrible life of very poor. She played her part heroically. Her dreadful debt must be paid. She would pay it. She dismissed her maid, changed their lodgings. They rented a garret, that is a very small, maybe an uncomfortable room under the roof. She came to know the drudgery, that is the hard work of the household, the odious, that is unpleasant labor of the kitchen. She washed the dishes and the dirty linens, that is the clothes. She carried the garbage down the street every morning and carried the water. Shopping at each landing to catch her breath and dressed like a commoner. She had to bargain at the market, quarrel and face insult over the every miserable sou. Sou is a French coin of low value. Each month they had to pay some loans, renew other and get more time. Her husband worked extra every evening doing accounts for the tradesman. He often late into the night. He sat copying a manuscript for 5 sous a page. And this life lasted for 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, they have paid off everything, even the interest. Madame Loisel looked older now. Often she brooded over the past. That is, she thought deeply over the past. What would have happened if she would not have lost that necklace? How strange the life is, how fickle, how little is the need for one to be ruined or saved. One Sunday, she was walking in the Clams. Suddenly, she saw Madame Frester. Still young, still beautiful, still charming, Madame Loisel felt emotional. Should she speak to her? Yes, of course. And now that she has paid, she would tell her all about. Why not? She went to her. Good morning, Jenny. The other, astonished to be addressed, so familiar by the common woman, did not recognize her. She stammered, "But, madam, I don't know you. You must have made a mistake." "No, I am Mathilde Loisel." Her friend uttered a cry. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, you have changed." Yes, I have. Yes, I have had some hard time since I last saw you, and many miseries, and all because of you." "Me? How could be that? You remember that diamond necklace that you lent me to wear to ministry party?" "Yes, well, I lost it." "What do you mean? You brought it back?" "I brought to you another exactly like it, and it has taken us 10 years to pay for it. It wasn't easy for us. We had a very little, but at last it is over, and I am very glad." Madame Froster was stunned. "You said that you had brought a diamond necklace to replace mine?" "Yes. You didn't notice then?" They were very similar, and she smiled with a proud of an innocent pleasure. Madame Froster was deeply moved, took both the hands. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, mine was an imitation. It was worth 500 francs at the most." Here the story ends in a very shocking way. But after the shock wears off, the reader begins to wonder what actually would have happened after Madame Froster told Madame Loisel that the necklace she has let her borrow was of fake jewels. Well, this type of writing is the hallmark of the Maupassant style. Well, the story is not just a reading material. It has made us think how our life should be, how our living style should be. Passion to be a rich person is not wrong, but the approach should be right. That is, one must strive hard, be on the right path of a successful person. Maybe Madame Froster have returned the necklace with the real jewels, but who could return the 10 years of the life and the sufferings in this period? Well, she has borrowed the necklace to be seen more beautiful and ends up losing her charm completely. Perhaps this is the bitter irony of the necklace. She borrowed Madame Froster's necklace to give her an appearance of having more money than she really does, only then to lose what she does had. The story demonstrates the value of honesty. If Mathilde have told the truth to Madame Forrester, she would have easily replaced the necklace. Friends, Madame Loisel is beautiful from outside, but inside she was discontented with the less wealth or less wealthy lifestyle. Happiness is a state of mind which cannot be purchased. The first and the foremost lesson that we learn from this story is we must always be happy and satisfied with whatever we have. This is a short story. We find that Madame Loisel was dissatisfied in the life and home. She was unhappy because she got married to a clerk. She wanted to become rich, but so that she could show off to the people around her. In the other word, she behaved like a spoiled child and was ungrateful towards her husband. Friends, whatever the situation we are, just live the life to the fullest without worrying much. The smooth sea can never make skilled sailors. Take the difficulties in the life as the opportunities. The harsh conditions of the life makes a person tougher and more capable. Challenging experience often gives the better lesson of the life. Friends, that's all for this video. See you in the next. Goodbye and have a nice day.